Hi, Rob's Ride Shop. So, as you can see, I kind of messed up my handguards here on my bike. Now, a lot of guys look at these and go, well, why would you run those? It's really abundantly clear when you really look at this. So when I went down, the impact was right here on the handguard. And as you can see, my clutch lever is totally fine. So these are really important, and they're cheap. They're like 30 bucks on eBay, people. Just one set of levers will cost you more than 30 bucks. So these really do a good job of protecting your hand controls. But anyway, I mean, I just did a ton of work to this bike. It looks really nice. I want it to look nice. I don't want to spend $30 on some new handguards, so I'm going to show you a quick tip on how to fix these. So, here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to grind. Now, all I'm trying to do is work out the really deep stuff. Try to smooth it out a little bit. Get rid of some of this heavier stuff. You can see already it looks cleaner. The next thing I'm going to do is run a file across this stuff that's coming off the edges. And this kind of brings it back down to its original shape. So you can see, after filing it and using the grinder, I've taken it down in some of the deeper spots. Now, you know, you're still going to get some of these deeper, like really deep cuts that are here and there, but I mean, you can't grind all that down. So just to get it sort of cleaned up, that's where we're at right now. So next, we're going to run some sandpaper on it, and I'm going to start with like 100 grit. So I have several different grits of sandpaper here. Usually I like to use like a 100, go to a 200, 400, 800, you get the point. I usually go to about 1,000 grit, and that'll bring it down really smooth. I don't have any 400 grit right now, so what I'm going to start with is actually a 100 grit. That's what this is right here. Now all I'm trying to really do here is get down to get a majority of this off. This really deep stuff, that's not coming out. Alright, so we've worked it down with 100 grit. As you can see, I mean, it's pretty rough, but it's got a lot of the dark spots out of it. You're gonna have deep scratches. There's nothing you can do about some of those, but you know, I've worked down to a point where it looks 100 times better than it did before. Alright, so I'm going to work on the next grit that I have here. I've got a 220. Like I said, I try to split it each time, so 100 to 200, this is as close as I have right now. So, here we go. Alright, we've worked it down with the 220. I don't have any 400, so I'm going to go ahead and go straight to an 800 grit now. Go to our 1,000 grit. Okay, so this is after the 220, the 1,000 or 800, and then 1,000 grit. You can still see there's some pretty deep scratches in there, but overall, I mean, this looks a million times better than it did. And so then we do the next part. After we've hit it with all the sandpaper and gotten it smoothed out pretty well, we get to do my favorite part, the torch. Now, you can also use a heat gun I don't think it's as quick, but you just take the torch and you just run it over the plastic to the point where it remelts the plastic, and it'll put your glaze back on there. So the next part we're going to do is go ahead and run a torch across it. Got to be careful because you can burn the plastic. So all you're really looking to do is heat it enough to remelt the plastic on there and make it a glaze. See that? The soot burned into it. So now my lovely white looks like it's been toasted. Well, I had a complete fail. Sanded it down, tried to heat it up with the torch. The torch left soot all over it, and it turned into a toasty golden brown, which on a white handguard you don't want. So I'm going to go ahead and use a heat gun, which is a good tool to reglaze the plastic as well, and there should be no soot. I've done this many times on other colors and never had a problem. It's obvious with the white, though, the soot is just going to stain that. So we're going to go ahead and try this again. All right, we're going to go ahead and try the heat gun on this. The heat gun doesn't work as fast, but hopefully it'll keep it from burning the plastic and turning it brown. Well, that's about as good as we could get that. So on the white, I'm going to say that's kind of a fail. It's pretty browned. I think it has a lot to do with the soot that was in there. It got darker as I heated it up. I mean, granted, it's all aesthetics, so it's not going to hurt anything. But that's about as good as I could get this. So yeah, take it as you may. I'm going to kind of call that a fail, but you know, it works okay on other colors. I've used it on red, I've used it on black, and had pretty good experience with those. The white, I'm not too impressed with. But I think it looks better than it did. It had a lot of big, huge chunks sticking out of it, and you know, I'll probably run these for a little while and then change them out later on. But you know, it's an aesthetic thing. You know, take it as you may. So hopefully here pretty quick. I'm gonna get started on my KX65, which is still sitting back here in pieces. You know, originally I injured myself and decided not to put a whole lot of work into that right now. I think I'm getting to a point though where I can go ahead and get back and get started on that project again. And I'm probably going to go ahead and take it in and get the frame powder coated. You know, this is a demo bike. I want it to look good, and decided that rather than trying to take the time to paint it and put in all the effort into making sure that the paint is adhering properly and it's thick enough and all that, I would save the time and get it powder coated. But when you powder coat a frame, there's a lot more that needs to be done as far as removing bearings, headset, braces, that kind of thing. So I'm going to get started on that soon, and we'll go ahead and do the alterations to get the shock mounted and the chain guard removed, which is necessary for these wider wheels. Go ahead and subscribe and watch out for the videos for that KX65 build, which we'll be resuming shortly. See you out at the track.